Next time I'm shooting, I'm gonna try to make sure I have an optic on this. But this now, right here, people, this is a masterpiece arm. DS9, see how accurate it is just with the iron sights. When I put a red dot on this, it's gonna be a wrap, man. It's gonna be a wrap, man. So optics, we got to make a choice whether we're going to run them or run them without. Now, since I have my two latest purchases that since I've had my two latest additions to the family, my MPA, which I love. It's a really cool gun, it's smooth, and this was really my first serious charge into the 2011 platform. My first one obviously was my Mac 9 DS, and that one, I did a video about my Swamp Fox, and it's funny because I ended up having a couple of comments on, it was one guy in particular who was like, don't even bother with it, because somebody asked about the optic and they would say you can get something else, and you could. That was a choice that I decided to go with, and I never responded because it was what I had on my gun. And I haven't really had any problems with it. I did have a little chip on the glass on the top right side of it. It doesn't really affect what I'm looking through when I am trying to acquire my red dot. It doesn't bother me at all. So it's held up especially for its price. But I decided I didn't want to go that route with either one of these guns. Now, not to say that I agreed with what he was saying, because I believe that if you have your own budget, you get what you can afford to put on your gun, and then hopefully your firearm will do you well, and as you try to move up in skills, and that first entry into the red dot family, you can then decide to move on and get something as you can save. But I don't think you should just have to wait for something that's really expensive. So the Sealeys are out there, and the Gideons are out there, the Swamp Fox, there's a couple other ones that I think that are pretty budget, But I always had my eye on that beautiful round Trijicon red dot, known as the RSO. So, what did I end up picking up? Well, the RSO is one of the most crisp red dots that I've ever seen. I haven't seen all of them, obviously, and I'm not trying to act like that I am an expert on red dots. I don't have enough exposure to different manufacturers to even let you know that, but I do know it is a hell of a red dot. Now, one of the things that I've gotten kind of nervous about is because the price is pretty high for one little piece of your gun, but many people have put that on their firearm. I've seen, like, Mike from Empire has one on his Nox 9, or does he have a Hex? I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's the Hex, and I know he picked one up. They had a couple of RSOs at the shop, and I just still had to decide what I wanted to do. And then you guys know I go shooting with Anthony, and Anthony has some hell of a collection of guns, and most of them have an RSO on them. So I have shot them a few times, and I have no problems acquiring the red dot. The red dot never has moved since I shot. Every time I shoot it, it's right where it needs to be. So when I pull that trigger, I know it's going to go where it needs to go. So that's always been cool. Trijicon has known for its reliability. They have a red dot called the RMR. It's also a footprint, but they also have one called the RMR, which is pretty expensive as well. but that one has been for duty carry. Now the RSO is a little questionable for duty carry, and I think it is more designed for people who go to the range and people who are in competition. I usually see them on competition guns. Plus, it's pretty as hell, right? So that's one of the reasons I wanted it. But I started looking at some videos. Now, this really doesn't concern me, but the durability of the RSO, people started to question. Now, I'm not saying that it's cheap and it's going to fold like a wet paper bill. But what I am saying is that I've seen a couple of videos where people drop it and it does kind of mess up that red dot. I think Mike told me a story about his friend doing that as well, but Trijicon also has good customer service and they replaced or fixed it. Not sure which one it is, but I started thinking, do I need an RSO? So I started looking at some of the competitors. You have Holosun, always solid, right? That's been something that I've experienced. I have my PDP and I put a 407K on that firearm, and I've had that on for 6 years and it has not moved. All right. Opposed to my Swamp Fox. And it wasn't really the Swamp Fox's fault, but it was the hardware that came with the Swamp Fox. And there's threads everywhere about that if you ever wanted to go and see exactly what I'm talking about. And you know, once I replaced the screws, I didn't really have any problem. You have some other ones out there too that might be something that you can consider. I'll just say for this video's sake, Olight. So Olight has their S model and their C model. Okay, so one of those were possible, or the Holosun. Holosun has two that I think were in the running for what I should be able to do if I wanted a new red dot. The 507C, which is the bigger of the two, and the little brother, the 407C. Now, the differences between those are mostly the reticle selection, or reticle, multiple reticles on one opposed to the other. Now, when I started trying to compare those to an RSO has a fixed 2.5, I believe, MOA, and the MOA is the minute of angle. So they have smaller red dots, and then they have larger ones. Now, I love the fixed reticle on the RSO. Let me be straightforward, all right? And another thing, it's very clear. I developed astigmatism. So I see these starbursts. So I get myself this one small reticle, dim it just a little bit, and I can stay focused, all right? Now, the 507C for the Holosun also had like a 2 MOA, which is a small dot, but it also has an option for a 32 MOA ring. All right, so you can do variations of the ring, the dot, or the ring and the dot. That's awesome. All right, but like I said, I have shot the RSO with just that one little dot. It works, you know. But you also have the Olight, and the Olight has this rechargeability, should I say, that is a little bit different than the batteries that you have to put into the RSO and the Holosun. Cool thing about the Holosun is that they also have a fail-safe for the battery, which is a solar panel that goes across the top. That's for the 407C and also for the 507C. So, you know, there's another check for the Holosun. The Olight, I was talking about the rechargeability. They have a cover that actually charges this red dot. And the cool thing also is that you have for the Holosun that you don't have for the Trijicon RSO is you have shake and wait. You know, so when you lift your gun up, automatically comes on the red dot. Boom, you can see it, you know. And then it goes to sleep after, I don't even remember when or how long. Well, my 407K does that as well. So, you know, there's this attempt to really save battery life, and then you have the backup, and I thought that was a really good thing. Another cool feature that all of these I would look for in a red dot is the ability to change the battery if you have a battery, without having to take apart or take the red dot off of the firearm. And the RSO has that, where it has a top mount battery tray, and the Holosun has a side mounted battery tray that you can do this while the red dot is sitting on the gun. Some of the older, not even some of the older, there's a lot of different red dots out there where you have to take the red dot off and the battery tray is underneath. Now, when you put that back on, there's not always a guarantee that it's going to be zeroed, and that becomes an issue. So I like the fact that the Holosun does that. And like I said, the O side is rechargeable. What do? I made a choice. I picked up the Holosun 407C. Now, some people might think that this is something that I shouldn't really put on either one of these two guns. You know, I showed you the MPA. This is the Akira. Now, do I think that either one of these should be graced with something as modest as the 407C? Why not, right? Also, I have a couple of these things. So, you know, me putting a lot of chips and coins into a huge red dot, I just was not ready to do so. Ammo's higher, and I still am saving up for some other things. You know, I just built a rifle, neither here nor there, but I felt that this was a pretty good choice. So without further ado, we are going to look and see what this 407 has to offer, right? So, beautiful case. I like the way. Can I see? Can you see? Got a Holosun right there. It's always pretty packaged nicely, you know. So, when you open this box, you have manual, 407C, 507C. In the back it has a cloth. I don't know if you guys can. You have your tool. You have hardware. And then you have the actual red dot. So, let's see, you got the hardware. Now, unlike the Swamp Fox that I had problems with, and I only had problems with the actual mounting of it, there's this whole idea that after 1,000 rounds, the red dot actually loosens. And that actually happened to me, but never heard of any problems with the Holosun. You have the tool. I have a couple of these. They usually come with all the red dots, whatever you buy. And then, of course, you have the Holosun 407. Like I said, this is going to have a fixed reticle. If you can look at the top, you're going to see, I'm hoping you guys can see this, you're going to see the solar panel on top. You see side mounting tray right there. You have a bright and you have a dim right there. And if you look, I got one of their newer reticles that they did for, I think they started it maybe in the last year, but it is, let's see if you can see it, the gold dot. Love it. You see the gold dot, people? Whoa. So I don't know. Which gun do I put this on? The MPA or the Kira? Please leave your comments down below. What I'm gonna do is install this, and then tomorrow morning I'm gonna take this to the range. I'll take you guys with me, and we're gonna check this out and see how this is gonna work. And you guys let me know when I do decide which gun I have. If I've made a mistake, do you think it's not good enough for the gun? These are considered to be pretty high up there guns. So some people might think that I should put something better on my firearms, but I'm gonna put them on. You guys let me know what you think. I'll tell you how it fires and how it looks, and we'll discuss it from there. You know how this goes, guys. I always have love for everybody who's even stopped by and viewed my video. I appreciate all of you. Alright, so without further ado, I wanted you guys to take care of each other. We're all we got, man. We need each other. We also need each other to survive. So I'm gonna check y'all out on the range. And until next time, you know how it goes, people. Peace.